Hello, hello, hello again. Merry stupid o'clock again, folks. This is another episode of Spelling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And yes, we are going back to the Free Britney movement because apparently while I was sleeping, something awesome happened to take place. You are, of course, going to find the link to the article right there in the description box. Now, I'm also going to include all the links for the Stop the Shocks campaign. Why? It is pertinent. We'll get to that point right towards the end of the video. But first, congratulations, Brittany, for beating the conservatorship. One of the most difficult, nigh unto impossible things to be able to accomplish. So, we're going to go through the article, what I hope it will mean for the rest of us with disability and mental health issues, and get into why I think it is valid in regards to the Stop the Shock campaign as well. So, without further ado, just I'm still angry at air this morning, and I'm suffering from a severe case of autistic fog brain. So if I stumble over any of my words, my apologies in advance. Alright, so the article is from The Guardian, which is generally not a real friend of mine, but hopefully, at least for this, they're not going to be complete you know what. So, the hashtag Free Britney movement finds its moment. All the hard work was worth it. And there's them celebrating yesterday while I was sleeping. From being called conspiracy theorists to working on legislation to reform conservatorships in California, organizers are realizing their power. God, what I hope that means for the kids under conservatorships from California in the JRC. God, I hope. I hope. Okay, so Friday's liberation of Britney Spears from her nearly 14-year conservatorship was a landmark moment for the pop star. It was also a once unimaginable triumph for the Free Britney movement, for the fan-led campaign that was largely dismissed by the public and Spears' father had called a joke run by conspiracy theorists. Now, here's the thing, and they do it to us for Justice for Johnny, too. News articles, for the love of God, would you stop with it's nothing but the fans? Okay? God. Quit dismissing people. A lot of people that were a part of the Free Britney movement are disability rights advocates, okay? Who've been fighting the unfair laws when it comes to conservatorship for decades, long before this case ever come along. Quit dismissing people. Sorry, I had to rant there. Fans have been pushing to fans, we're just going to do quotation, had been pushing to free Britney from the conservatorship for years, but the movement took off in 2019. With full-time jobs and no professional organizing background. Oh, for the love of God, you don't need a goddamn degree to start a movement, okay? Jesus Christ. Really? Really, could you be possibly more condescending? Grassroots campaigns, they get started from the people. And you know what? You can organize something and not have to have a freaking college degree in it in order for it to be successful. Stop it. Moving on. They took it upon themselves to investigate the arrangement that controlled Spears' life, scoring the star's social media posts for clues, examining court documents, organizing online and holding demonstrations outside court hearings and concerts to raise awareness of what's going on. Yeah, and then you all want to be all nasty to us Justice for Johnny Depp people for doing the exact same things. Okay, Karen. Sorry. I'm having a day. Hashtag Free Britney organizers, many of whom have been fans for more than 20 years, say they were concerned about the conservatorship from the beginning. but that it wasn't until allegations emerged on a 2019 podcast that Spears had been held against her will in a mental health facility that efforts gained steam. Oh, that guy's outfit is spectacular. Sorry, that actually cheered me up a little. Thank you, kind sir. You look rather dapper. Moving on. Initially, Chris Roca, a Free Britney advocate based in Fresno, said people didn't take it seriously. I'm a 34-year-old man. I have a normal life. I have a normal job. In the beginning, a lot of people would laugh, he said. We were called conspiracy theorists. People just thought we were speculating and were like, why are you obsessed with this? Said Melanie Mandarano, a member of the Free Britney LA. I'm glad they were. I'm glad they were. It's about time some people from the outside started looking into conservatorships and how restraining and awful they can actually be. Just saying. A security firm hired by Spears' father, Jamie, reportedly investigated the group, sending infiltrators to their rallies and issuing a threat assessment report of the fans. A lawyer for the firm, Black Box, said it was proud of their work in keeping Miss Spears safe and had operated within professional, ethical, and legal bounds. Really? That's some straight up JRC tactics there. But perception of the movement began to shift earlier this year with the release of the New York Times documentary Framing Britney Spears, which examined the conservatorship and sexist treatment by the media. Here we go. Here we go. I knew it was coming. You all realize there are men, disabled men, who are currently under conservatorships, right? In fact, we have gentlemen right now under conservatorships who are being tortured with impunity at the JRC right now, this moment, even while we are speaking. Okay? Conservatorship is not just a sexist issue. It is a disability and human rights issue. No one, male or female, should have their autonomy ripped away from them and have their any ability to make decisions regarding their own life entirely ripped from them. Okay? Good. I'm glad you came to my TED Talk. The documentary also took a closer look at the Free Britney movement, spotlighting their allegations of abuse and interviewing organizers. It did such a great job of reframing the way we look at Britney and creating some sympathy for her and showing how wrong it was the way she was treated. It showed these people how we are fighting for her, said Leanne Simmons, hashtag Free Britney organizer, who was featured in the documentary. This is a human rights issue. Thank you! Part of me wished we were wrong. The new attention on the Spears case eventually led to major changes, including her father's suspension and Friday's ultimate dissolution of the arrangement that controlled Spears' estate, career, and aspects of her personal life. It also saw the star testify publicly for the first time about life under conservatorship's control, a hearing that confirmed many hashtag free advocates' worst fears. It was both shocking and horrifying. Part of me had always wished we were wrong, at least about the darkest details, Simmons says. Last month, Spears thanks the dedicated group of fans who have spent years fighting to end the restrictive legal arrangement. Mr. Mew! Shush! Sorry. Hashtag free Britney movement. I have no words because of you guys and your constant resilience in freeing me from my conservatorship. My life is now in that direction, she tweeted in October. Organizing to support Spears and end her conservatorship was a full-time job for many hashtag Free Britney advocates. They coordinated rallies, worked on marketing for the cause, and traveled across the country to attend demonstrations outside the courthouse. Some, like Mandarano, have moved to Los Angeles to be closer to Free Britney events. Anytime I thought it was too much, or I didn't have time in the back of my head, I was like, she's being silenced. said Megan Radford, a longtime Free Britney advocate based in Oklahoma. Britney was being silenced for years and years and years. I truly believe that without the movement, she would not be getting out of the conservatorship. Radford and other fans celebrated outside the Los Angeles courthouse Friday. Supporters sprayed confetti into the air, while some broke down into tears and danced in celebration. They had shut down the street in front of the courthouse and invited families to come speak about their experience with conservatorships. All the hard work, the sacrifice, and calling off work. It's been worth it, and I would do it all over, said Junior Olivius, who helped organize the first fan rally outside the court in 2019. This is life-changing for her. The movement's long-term effects. Jasmine E. Harris, a University of Pennsylvania law professor and expert in conservatorships, said that the Spears case had demonstrated the power of transparency and public pressure, and that Spears would likely still be struck in the arrangement had she not gotten the opportunity to speak in open court. The hashtag Free Britney movement brought attention to a major disability rights issue, Harris said. Thank you, somebody said it besides me. Noting that many people with disabilities remain trapped in these arrangements. It will continue to be incredibly difficult for people who are in conservatorships to restore their legal capacity. It's damn nigh unto impossible, folks. Damn nigh unto impossible. We'll get into that in a minute. She said there needed to be more investments in alternatives to conservatorships that allow people to get support while maintaining their autonomy. This affects young people with disabilities across the country, and so this deserves our sustained attention. The movement's efforts haven't ended with Spears. Advocates have turned their attention to the conservatorship system more broadly, advocating for the reform or end of guardianships entirely, and working with disability rights groups in California to sponsor legislation. Thank you! The Free Britney folks are very organized. They could write a textbook on community organizing, and this is from a woman who spent most of her career organizing, said Judy Mark, the co-founder and president of Disability Voices United, a disabilities rights organization that has worked with the movement. They went into it as fans, but they realized the power they can have. Spears' case and the work of the Free Britney organizers have brought an unprecedented level of attention to conservatorships, Mark said. Her organization and others working on legislation to dramatically reform conservatorships in California, which the governor's office and legislator have expressed interest in. That never would have happened a year ago, she said. All this changed the day Britney Spears got on the phone and spoke to the judge about how bad things are, and the only way that happened is because of the Free Britney movement. But changes must happen quickly, she said, while people still remembered what happened to Britney Spears despite her wealth and resources. We realize this is a moment in time that we must take advantage of. The moment may not come again. Okay, so why do I bring up the JRC in relation to the Free Britney movement? I'm going to tell you. Fact of the matter is, folks, a lot of students who are stuck in that horrible hellhole known as the JRC, guess what? They are under court-appointed guardianships. So, even if they are of age and they ran from that place, the cops would have to drag them back to that hellhole. They have no autonomy, no chance to voice their own displeasure at being stuck in such a hellhole. They have no options, none. They get zero say in whether they get to stay and be tortured or not. This is also the case of many of those parents who support the JRC, who are their children's legal guardians, and because they drink the Kool-Aid, continue to keep their children there, in spite of everything that has come out. That is why I am adding the links, so that you all in the Free Britney movement can know what we have been fighting for over 30 years. Now, I'm not going to use the clip of Andre McCollins because this is Britney's moment and I'm happy to see it. But this is what I'd like to see come out of this victory, that we don't forget the others who are suffering from abuse, torture, and exploitation every single day under a conservatorship, where these folks have next to nigh any authority or any means in which to allow their voices to be heard. I'm talking victims of the JRC, victims of folks who have their disabilities checks taken away from them. I'm talking about folks who are not given the right to vote, to take care of their own finances, to decide where they're going to live, how they're going to eat, if they are able to work at all. That's what I'm talking about, folks. It is a broad group of people that conservatorship affects every single day. And in regards to the JRC, conservatorships allows the abuse and the torture of people with disabilities and mental health issues every single day while we speak. So for those new to the subject, what does the JRC do? They use painful electric skin shocks on people with disabilities. It's called the GED, or God, I can't think of the name. The GED is designed to hurt people, folks. A police taser runs on 4.4 or 5 milliamps of electricity. The GEDs run on 45 milliamps of electricity. And what they will do is they will either shock them while they are in their seats for offenses such as stopping work for more than 5 seconds, saying a curse word, blinking too much, or waving a hand in front of their face. Many people are shocked 5 to 7 times a day, and that's the lucky ones. We have reports in the disability movement of people being strapped face down, getting over 30 shocks within a 7-hour period. In the case of Andre McCollins, we have 2 others who were shocked over 100 times. These people have to wear these shock devices in the shower, while they sleep, and every single day of their lives. They also suffer from food deprivation and sleep deprivation. They also have to endure horrible things they call behavioral lessons, or staff will jump out with implements such as knives or pencils, and they will threaten the person with disabilities, and if they respond wrong, it's a shockable offense. It is behavioral modification at its most psycho. And a good majority of the people who endure it are people with disabilities, male and female alike. Many of the students who get sent there are sent from California. One of these folks, her name is Miss Villa, whose court case with the Massachusetts against the JRC is ongoing, where she endured not just all that I described, but was also physically assaulted while being restrained. And when I mean physically assaulted, it was bad enough to cause her a concussion. So, what I would like to see is more work so that others stuck in these conservatorships will also finally allow their voices to be heard for the very first time. That's what I would like to see in the follow-up after this great victory for Britney. I would like this to set the precedent, for this to be a tipping of the iceberg, to get others free. And on that note, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close out for this morning. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. Now, I said I wasn't going to do it, but I need you folks in the Free Britney movement to see what we've been up against. So, trigger warning, what you are about to see is horribly triggering and disturbing. So, caution is advised, and if you have young children, please move yourself out of the room, or please go ahead and put on some headphones for me. Give me just a moment here. I want you to see what we're up against.
Screams of pain from a student at the Judge Rodenberg Center as he's tied down and shocked for hours. Good evening, I'm Mark Docker.
Hi, everybody. Maria Stefanos, Fox Undercover's camera, the only one in court today, as a jury is given its first look at that disturbing video. We want to warn you that the video is tough to watch. Mike Bodette reports.
This is the video that the Judge Rodenberg Center in Canton has fought long and hard to keep from the public eye. The center convinced a judge 8 years ago to seal it, and the battle continued right up until it was played in court, as lawyers for the center asked the judge to bar our camera from recording it. The judge said no, and now for the first time ever, the public can see for itself what these controversial electric shocks look like in use. Dramatic video of New York teenager Andre McCollins, restrained face down, a helmet on his head, screaming for help. The Judge Rodenberg Center calls it treatment.
I was shocked when I was 16 or 17.
It never gets easier to see.
As McCollins' attorney just described, the teenager was shocked 31 times in all that day in 2002. McCollins is suing the Canton-based center, calling it torture. Lawyers for the center and its clinicians say McCollins needed aversive therapy because he was aggressive.
These are dramatic tapes. There's no question.
He refused to move his coat, by the way. That's what they're doing this to him for. Aggressive. Rape.
October 25 was followed.
It was an emotional day for McCollins' mother, Cheryl, who was in court as video was played from the beginning of Andre's ordeal, when he was shocked and restrained after refusing to take off his coat.
I never signed up for him to be tortured, terrorized, and abused. I had no idea that they tortured the children in the school.
Cheryl testified what her son was like when she visited him 3 days later.
I couldn't turn Andre's head to the left, to the right. He was just staring straight. I took my hands and I went like this. He didn't blink.
Cheryl McCollins did get Andre to Children's Hospital that day, where he was diagnosed with acute stress response caused by the shocks. The jury also heard her testify about watching the video and hearing staff members laughing while their son was on the floor. We should see more video on Wednesday in court as Cheryl McCollins returns to the witness stand. I'm Mike Bodette for Fox Undercover.
This is what we've been fighting for over 30 years. Many of the people who are placed in that school, like Andre, being shocked like that, are under conservatorships. They have no autonomy, no ability to be able to leave that school without guardianship consent. And all the guardians continue to keep them there. Being tortured like that And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So please look at the other links in this video. Get yourself involved. Let's end the conservatorship so we can stop the torture and stop the abuse for all people with disabilities and mental health issues. That's what I'd like to see finally happen with this victory. I hope you all have a good one today, and definitely after that, watch something that will make you smile. Bye-bye.